For this section, I understand we're discussing the continental value chain and the challenges as well as opportunities in the AFCFTA. The Federation of West Africa Chamber of Commerce, sorry that my perspective is mostly from the West African side. But then I know that it also cuts across Africa. We're talking about AFCFTA anyways. We at the Regional Chamber of Commerce, we try to conduct a study on access to finance for women-led businesses and then capacity building for our members under the AFCFTA. And in that study, the study was sponsored by ICR Facility, Investment Climate Facility, supported by OACPA and the European Union. In that study, we were able to highlight the challenges that women face in cross-border trade. Previous presenters have been able to highlight these challenges, which include access to information, access to knowledge, gender inequality, access to finance because of some cultural or frameworks that are in existence that don't allow most women to own land. And because for you to access finance, most of the banks would request for collateral for access to finance. And then other challenges that we're able to find from the study was harassment that women face in the borders by custom officials and immigration officers as well. Then we talked about lack of infrastructure. Another challenge is quality and certification. How can women move their goods from the raw material to packaging to be able to compete with continental markets as well as global markets? Then the value chain that we looked at in West Africa is the previous presenter, Mr. Victor, was the agro-food processing value chain, and most of them is spices, cereal. Then we had flour from SMEs from Cote d'Ivoire, Togo, and Nigeria who are engaged in processing cassava flour, plantain flour, and dried fruit, cashew oil. Most of these are the value chain, the agro-food processing value chain. Then I would like to move to give some recommendations. Aside from the challenges, aside from the opportunities that AFCFTA presents, yes, there are challenges, and so far from the presentations in the morning up until now, we've heard lots of challenges that are there. But are there ways we can work on these challenges to be able to take advantage of the opportunities of the AFCFTA? One of the recommendations I would like to make to women-owned SMEs or women who are working in the agro-food value chain is to leverage on networking and collaboration. There's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, you go alone, but if you want to go far, you go together. So I would like to say that SMEs should leverage on membership, being a member of business associations. From your business association, you can get the right information, and then if your voice alone cannot be heard, your voice can be heard through your association. And this association, they help with advocacy, they help with capacity building and sensitization, and they also help in giving maybe like a desk office where you can have your questions answered. Another recommendation is Um, on the challenge of implementation of the AFCFTA, there is need to get the national framework working so that when it's time for the implementation to work, the implementation, I'm speaking in the legal background now, the implementation cannot, you can't place nothing on, you can't place something on nothing and expect it to stand. So the implementation must be based on the national frameworks. The nations of Africa should enact frameworks that can help in the implementation of the AFCFTA. This can be achieved through maybe creating technical working groups that can sit and brainstorm on how to like draft some frameworks that will help in the implementation of the AFCFTA. Finally, I would like to say that there's also need to engage, speaking of the AFCFTA, empower the private sector through capacity building and building, like I said before, building strategic partnership. Also, there is need for digital mapping. When we're talking about doing business, maybe trading between East Africa and West Africa, how do you know the West African countries that you, or West African SMEs that you can trade with? There is need to do digital mapping and then create a linkage between one market and then information where people can access the same information and access maybe contact of SMEs in other regions for you to trade with. Thank you very much.